Hey, Omar here, your South African knife guy, and today we're going to be going over a very special custom knife that I got. I came back from Blade Show and I didn't buy anything, so the knife you're going to see is actually, it was actually ordered like 3 months prior to Blade Show, and I picked it up. I was going to pick it up there and just decided to have him ship it to me, and I got it yesterday, and I kind of wanted to share it with you. So the knife that I'm going to be showing you is actually made by a friend of mine in South Africa named Hennie Pleisses of Hennie Pleisses Custom Knives. Now this knife is actually, excuse me, this knife is actually a collaboration between Hennie Pleisses and his wife Ilze Pleisses. She does the artwork on the knife. All the engraving is done by her, and Hennie Pleisses makes the actual folder. He makes the knife, and she does the engraving. So they're a team. I personally think that this type of a knife should be sort of separate. In other words, because Hennie makes knives on his own without engraving, I think this knife should be considered like a separate market. So it's just something for him to consider, I think. But in any case, this is the box that it comes in, the knife, and I wanted you guys to take a look at this drawing. So this is a drawing that was made by Ilze Pleisses. Now you have to keep in mind, Ilze Pleisses is actually an artist in her own right. She draws and paints and all that. She wanted to, at some point in her artistic career, maybe join forces with her husband. So she got together with knife maker, South African knife maker Neil Roos, and she learned how to do engraving. So that became the next step for her. How could she get involved in knife making? She wanted to learn how to take her version of her art and put it towards the art of knife making. And what she does, her process as far as engraving, is she will draw the pattern out on something like this, have it completely all drawn out, and then literally do the engraving on the knife directly from this drawing. And so again, this is the box that the knife comes in, which I'm not crazy about. So instead, what I did was I bought this beautiful sort of stingray pouch for the knife, and you'll see why I bought a special pouch just for this in a second here. So I'm going to try, and I'm doing this freeform with my hand because I didn't want to go bringing out a bunch of stuff just to do this outside. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the knife right now. Here it is. Let's give you guys just a good quick look at it. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to try and talk about it with no hands free, because I'm holding the phone in my hand, so I'm trying to keep it steady. And at the same time, I wanted to give you guys a good shot at the knife. I'm going to attempt to do size comparisons because I can't do, there's no specs for this knife. It's a custom. So let's go ahead and get into it. So this knife is basically a model custom by Hennie Pleisses. Now, what makes Hennie Pleisses such a unique knife maker, apart from a lot of other guys, is he literally makes a completely brand new, from scratch, model knife every time. So pretty much every knife you get from Hennie Pleisses, more than likely, it's going to be a one-of-a-kind no matter what, because you're never going to see this model knife ever again. You know what I mean? So not only is the engraving unique, but the entire model knife is a one-of-a-kind right off the bat. He just gets bored In other words, what I'm saying is he doesn't do like what other South African knife makers do, like Trevor Berger and Clyde Challenor. Those guys, Clyde Challenor's got the Viper, and Trevor Berger has the Lex K or the EXK. Those are knife models where they use the same model over and over and over again, and then they slap different materials on it. Um, they slap like different materials on the knife, and then that would become your one of a kind custom. With Hennie, what he does is he just creates an entire model from scratch, and then you get whatever materials you want on it, whether there's going to be engraving or whether there's not going to be any engraving at all, or whatever the deal might be. Um, he just does it the way he wants to do it. So let's get into this piece because this is really quite unique. So the materials on this knife, basically, it's titanium. Got some gold, 24 karat gold inlay right there on the whiskers and on the tip of the tail. Now, here's what's interesting about the engraving on this knife. On the back of it, we've got the dragon, and the pocket clip is actually the scales of the dragon. And if you look closely, where it's intended, she doesn't leave any empty space anywhere on the knife. You know what I mean? So this blank part right by where the whisker is, that's meant to be like the horizon of the knife, and then the dragon coming out. But the scales is actually the pocket clip of the knife. We have meteorite bolsters for the bolsters, which is really kind of cool because one of the reasons why I wanted meteorite, and I knew that this is going to happen when I got it, is that if you look closely at the knife, in the light, the design of the meteorite bolster kind of shifts, so you get like a different look every time it shifts. You know what I mean? Which I thought was kind of cool. So for those of you guys that don't know what meteorite is, basically it's rock chunks from space. And that was a material that I'd never had on a knife before, so I wanted to get this material on my knife. And Hennie was at a point where he had so much of it that he was happy to oblige. I think he maybe overbought some meteorite and was trying to push it. So he was kind of happy when he found out that I wanted that material specifically on my knife. For the blade, we've got for the blade we have dragon steel. So the entire knife is roughly about excuse me, 8¼ inches in length. The blade is roughly 3.2 inches in length, so it's a good medium-sized knife. But if you guys want a better view of it, or better understanding of what the size comparison would be, I'm going to go ahead and show that to you right now. We're going to go ahead and pull out some knives. See if I can turn this around. Okay, so there you go. And if you take a look, we're going to go ahead and start with, let's see here. How about the ZT 0562? So there it is up against the ZT 0562. As you can see, the knife is slightly smaller than the ZT 0562. Put that aside. This one would be the Kershaw bare knuckle knife. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one, but this is one of the ones that Kershaw did as a limited exclusive. That's also like a 3.5-inch knife. This one is, like I said, the blade length on this is about 3.2 inches. So you can see that it's, it's a medium-sized knife. And we'll go ahead and put it up against how about the Spyderco Sage? You guys know that one. So as you guys can see, the knife is roughly a bit not too much, but maybe just like a half inch bigger than the Spyderco Sage. Here's one. Most of you guys know this one. This is the Spyderco. Oh man, my mind just went blank. Techno. There you go. This is the Spyderco Techno, and as you guys can see, there it is up against the Techno. So it's pretty much, it falls between a small, medium, and large knife. So there it would be like in the middle if you guys were looking at the size comparisons there. So anyway, yeah, so this particular custom was not cheap. The Dragon Steel kind of elevated the price, and the Meteorite bolsters also elevated the price. And of course, obviously, the artwork of the engraved dragon on it, that's also elevates the price. How much I paid for this, I'm kind of ashamed, and I will not say. But I'll tell you this much: the knife is at least over 1,000. Continuing on with the artwork, as you guys can see, the liners are also custom. Back spacers also got this really beautiful sort of custom design on the back. Now the liners on the back, that's you've seen that on quite a few customs. That's been popular for about a decade. Andre Thorburn does it. Arugis Blumeris does like his rope version of the liners on the back here, and that's all done with CNC machining. Which is the way most people make their knives these days, custom knives these days. Very few are doing them completely by hand, but a lot of them do it with CNC machining, but it really doesn't make much difference. You know, art is art. So, I mean, I don't really see this knife as an everyday user piece. This is a knife that I just enjoy kind of looking at it, flipping it, carrying it, and then when I'm done for the day, putting it back in a display case. I'm perfectly happy doing that. Will I use the knife? Yeah, if I needed to cut something and this happened to be in my pocket, I'll cut with it. But this is not a heavy user piece. This is more of an art knife. More and more, I think, in custom knife making, that's where we're going with knives. Is where there's a lot more separation between an everyday user carry and an art knife as ever before in the world of custom knife making. I just want to kind of move this around a little bit. There you go. You know, it's kind of debatable whether or not you're. Depending on what kind of a knife collector you are, and I'm the kind of knife collector that's pretty eclectic. The only limitation in my collection, and I'm kind of breaking out of that now too, is that my knife be South African. The major bulk of my collection will be South African. That I don't have a problem with. But I also want to check out the other flavors of the world, see what Japan's doing, see what France is doing, see what China's doing. I'm kind of headed into that direction now. And I'm also still collecting, every once in a while, production knives, just to see what's out there, because whatever is out there in the production world, the custom world is going to try and keep up as far as, say, for example, mechanisms, just aesthetic looks, that kind of thing, what's out there, and try and interpret that into the art of their knife making. It's just the way it's going to be. One type of knife collecting will push the other. Will also push the custom knife maker to make new, more exciting, more different knives, but yet not stray so far from the norm, which is a challenge for a lot of South African knife makers, because when you buy a South African knife, they want you to know that you're buying a South African knife. So their culture still has to be there. Moving on, the knife runs on ceramic ball bearings. As opposed to steel ball bearings. It just makes it a smoother knife as an effect of it, not because that's not the main reason why knife makers use ceramic ball bearings. They use ceramic ball bearings for the longevity of your knife. Steel ball bearings, as everybody knows, produces friction, which produces heat, which produces shoddy action. With ceramic ball bearings, the ball bearings will always stay nice and cool. Therefore, there will be no there won't be any shoddy action. There's no heat being produced by flipping it, because they're not steel ball bearings, and yet the smoothness is even better. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't oil your ceramic ball bearings. It just means that you will more than likely oil ceramic ball bearings less than if you were to do that if they were steel ball bearings. So. Yeah. So this is a beautiful example of an all-around 100% art knife. Basically, all the basics that you would get from a production knife, the action, the materials, the smoothness, the steel. I mean, the cutting, all that's in the knife. It's just that now you're getting it in an art form. How you interpret this knife or how you want to use this knife is up to you. But yeah, I'm not gonna be doing any like heavy cutting boxes with this thing. This is just too beautiful of a knife to even consider doing that. Because you could stare at this knife for hours and not find anything different on it. You'll always find something new on it. I mean, one of the greatest things that I like about is the engraving. If we take a good close look at the engraving, not only is this knife, not only is the engraving unique, but there's some uniqueness about the engraving. For example, down here where you see where it looks like a painting down here. The engraving down here with the swirls on it, that's all nice and smooth. The dragon is nice and smooth. When I put my thumb down towards the gold inlay, that's textured. So if you can imagine how difficult that is to do that, where you've got some parts of the engraving are like textured, other parts of it are not, like way up here where it's kind of dark. Yeah, that's textured engraving. I don't know how she does that. And then, of course, the moon is also textured. When I mean textured, I mean when I run my finger across it, I can feel the engraving on there. Other parts of it are smooth, so it's like a mixture of like textures. Like these spikes coming out of the dragon, I can feel that, but then when I run my finger down a little bit more, it's not textured anymore. It gets textured like right up to about here where you can feel it. It's just weird. The attention to detail on the engraving where she doesn't leave any empty space. Really, really overly intricate. And they've been doing engraving for quite a while now, but Ilze's the first one I've seen do the engraving where it's like two different types of engraving, which I have no idea how she does that. And then she continues on with that sort of 3D effect with the back of the knife with the dragon. Now this was something that I didn't expect, where it's flat here for the engraving, but then the dragon scales are actually the pocket clips, so that makes it even more 3D. You know what I mean? It lines up perfectly with the dragon picture, so that's really kind of hard to do. And she deserves, like, God, real big kudos for doing that, because that's hard. That is super hard to do that. So yeah, I mean, art knives are something that, if you're a heavy knife collector like me, that's something that you're going to want in your collection. Especially if you're a collector like me who does not use knives that heavily. I mean, I'm into it basically for the fun of having like an artwork in my pocket. And this knife kind of definitely fulfills that. This is not my only engraved knife from Hennie and Ilze de Pleisses. I've got another one, which, you could check it out on my channel, called Kitsumi Mask. Um, that one's on my channel. If you punch in Kitsumi mask, you'll see the other engraved knife. I should have brought that one out, but I didn't. Um, so now this is the second one. There's going to be a third, probably. I'm going to guess like right around Christmas time, I'll have a third one. That one's going to be a 3.6 incher, really big engraved knife. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to have on it. I'm thinking maybe a mythological wolf on the knife. Was what it's going to be. I would love for her to do something again 3D with the pocket clip. I don't know if that's possible or not, but if not, maybe I'll just ask for like a meteorite pocket clip or something like that. Uh, for a lot of people that are like everyday knife carriers, this might be a knife that's not for them. I showed this one off to custom knife maker Clyde Challenor, and he actually said, "Well, this knife's kind of busy for me." I agree. I agree with that. But I mean, if you're into knife art, then this is then this is something that you're going to want to have in your collection. And I'm into everything, man. If there's something out there that looks beautiful, it's just as functional as any production knife that's out there, like for example the Kershaw bare knuckle limited edition one. You know that's something that I would like to have in my collection. I don't want it to just be a knife art, a knife that has some fancy stuff on it. I want everything that's on this knife, on this knife here, I'd like it to have it on here. In other words, all the internals have to be in play. The action's got to be there. It's got to be nice and smooth. It's got to have the really good high cutting steel. That's another thing too. I have a lot of questions myself about dragon steel. I don't know much about it. I just know that it looks good. My friend Clyde Challenor had stated that it's a pain to actually work with this particular steel as far as treating it. And he said that it's just for looks. I'm going to take him at his word. He's the knife maker, but I don't know. I'm going to ask around, find out what it is. What exactly is dragon steel? I can't even find it anywhere on the Rockwell scale as far as hardness. I don't know. I don't know if it's what that would be, but I did test it out, and it does. It's a very sharp steel. It does cut. I just don't know anything about its edge retention. I don't know anything about its strength. I know nothing of that. So that I'm going to have to kind of research more because this is the only dragon steel blade that I have in my collection. Also, the only blade that I have with meteorite on it. It's, rock chunks from space on your knife. That's pretty damn cool. I don't know who the hell wouldn't want that. Plus the fact that when you hold up the knife and you kind of shift it, it kind of shifts in the light. So that's really cool. It's very, very pretty. And I think it's perfect contrast to the engraving that Ilze has done. However, I will say this. This is not going to be my only engraved knife, but at the same time, you're not going to see nothing but a bunch of engraved knives in my collection. That's not what my collection is going to be. I'm going to have quite a few engraved knives in this collection, but every once in a while, I'll just get something that's this artsy, and then the rest of my customs will be like regular customs, where the material is unique, and yet it's got all the action and everything that you would want. While I'm working real hard to not just have an eclectic collection, that's something that's kind of difficult to do in a way to make it, unique. I want to get into everything, whatever's out there. As a collector, there's only a couple of things you will never ever see in my custom collection. One of them is thumb discs. I won't have that in my collection. It's just not something I care for. And I guess I forgot what they call it, but it's that pants catcher deployment where you have the knife in your pocket and then you pull the blade out and the knife's automatically open. That won't be in my collection either. Even if a South African knife maker is doing a unique take on it, I probably wouldn't get that. I just don't care for that kind of stuff in my collection. But other than that, it's going to be mostly, or I can't say strictly anymore, but yeah, it's strictly South African, and just as long as they're high quality built knives, that's the direction of my collection from this point on. Uh, yeah, so that's it for this video. Again, this is Hennie du Pleisses and Ilze du Pleisses of Hennie du Pleisses Custom Knives. You know, like I said, the box is something to be left desired. I've spoke to Hennie about that, but he does boxes like this to keep the costs down, which I understand. But then again, he didn't object to me getting a Stingray pouch. You can buy these, by the way, at Atom Unlimited. If you go to, if you're a knife collector like me and you're looking for a unique pouch, you can pick this up at Atom Unlimited or go to the Blade Gallery. This is just a really beautiful Stingray leather pouch, and I thought for a knife this special, you know, it's gotta have something. I want to tuck it away in something special if I'm going to carry it. This knife is so special, I'm probably going to actually literally put it into this pouch and then put the pouch in my pocket. I mean, it's just too pretty to like put in my pocket or even use the pocket clip freely. And actually, I don't use pocket clips anyway. I just put the knife in my pocket. Like I said, you know, I'm a knife collector. I'm more into it for the art than actual everyday use. However, that doesn't mean that I don't use my knives. I do. So when the opportunity arises, I just don't know. I don't have an occupation. I work in an office, so I don't have an occupation where I can just take my knife and whip it out and cut it. In fact, where I work in the office, it kind of sucks, but I'm not even allowed to have a knife out if I wanted to. I'm not even allowed to like flip the knife or check it out or anything like that in the office while I'm working. It's against human resources policy. So I kind of just carry the knife and kind of keep it in my pocket. And then when I'm outside of the work environment, I'll whip it out, take a look at it, enjoy it. It sucks, I know, but you know, a lot of people just don't understand the world of knives or this as a hobby. They just think of it as a weird hobby, and more than likely, I don't think people that are into this, that are not into this, they just, I don't know, they just look at it differently, like, you know, maybe he's a hoodlum or something. So there's a lot of things I forgot. I mean, the ergonomics on the knife are fantastic. I forgot to mention that. There's no hot spots, even with the pocket clip on it, so you can use it for everyday carry. And I'm kind of chuckling at myself because if I use this for everyday carry, I just can't see that. But yeah, the ergonomics are really nice. Very well done overall. Obviously, you know, the artwork is the star of the show. I've often, you know, when I was at Blade Show, I went to dinner with Ilze and Hennie du Pleisses. They are becoming very good friends of mine. And I kind of joked that, you know, Hennie, even though Hennie makes a model knife from scratch just about every time, and Ilze does the engraving. The Ilze's the star of the show, you know what I'm saying? And Hennie just makes the knife, but Ilze's the one that's the star of the show. He actually agreed. We all kind of chuckled about it. But it's true, you know, I mean, when you see a knife like this, you know, the actual knife itself, it comes second. It's the engraving that's eye-popping first. It just can't be, just can't be helped. This is a front flipper piece, which I forgot to mention also. Hennie is also good at doing front flippers. He's actually redesigned front flippers on a few of his models. There's even a front flipper that he makes that's a dual one, where the flipper piece is over here on the side of the knife, and then you flip it open that way, and then he's got it where it's up here also. So you've got like a little bit of a protrusion up here at the top, and then he makes it so that you can also do it with your thumb. over on the side. And for my third engraved piece from him, I'm going to ask him to do that dual flipper thing. It's on my other engraved knife, the Kitsumi mask, but I really want to see it on a large knife, so that's going to be something to look forward to also. So anyway, again, my second time saying it. I didn't expect this video to run long, but I do all these videos kind of off the cuff, unfortunately. Sorry about that. That's it for this video. Again, this is the BUNAKAWA Dragon knife with meteorite bolsters, dragon steel, and engraving done by Ilze de Pleisses. So this is a dual knife by Hennie de Pleisses and Ilze de Pleisses, the knife making team. So you're going to be seeing if you check out their Instagram, you're going to see Ilze's engraving get more and more involved, even more involved than you're seeing here. I'm assuming that they're probably going to have to get to a point. To Alex Music's. This is the most expensive right here in my collection is this one. I'm not even going to... It's so expensive, I'm ashamed to tell you guys how much I paid for it. So, but yeah, this is the most expensive one. The reason it's so expensive is the dragon steel and the meteorite. And, of course, the hand-engraved work is the cost on it. I mean, to sit there, I don't know how many hours it takes to create something like this, but this is very time consuming, and it's a one-of-a-kind knife that's just absolutely insane that someone would work this hard to give you something that you're just going to put in your pocket. I think that's pretty cool. So, yeah. So check these guys out on Instagram. You can find Hennie de Pleisses at Billet to Blade. And you can find Ilze de Pleisses on Instagram. Just punch in her name. I believe I can't remember what her Instagram is. But if you punch in Ilze, Ilze, you'll find her on Instagram. You can see all the wild and crazy engravings that she does, and you'll notice if you go all the way back on her Instagram page, you'll see how very basic the engraving is, and then in a short amount of time, because she's already an artist, in the short amount of time, yeah, it is beautiful file work. Jacob Jones, thanks for mentioning that, appreciate it. It's good to have some knife fans out there that I'm not trying to interact with you guys more. I didn't expect anybody to even be on. That's the thing. I never expect anybody to even be on. Yeah, so the file work on it is really, it's quite intricate. That's done with CNC machining, by the way. Same thing with the backspacer, CNC machining on that. Hennie's pretty brilliant at it. But, file work isn't anything that's brand new. Andre Thorburn popularized it, as well as Arucus Blumeris. Now you go around and you see a lot of South African knife makers who are doing that file work in different designs, different versions of it. I think the most complex type of file work I've seen on a custom knife is done by Arucus Blumeris, the rope version. Like he's got like this rope file work on it, which I thought was pretty unique. As far as to Alex Music's, as far as what the cheapest knife is, basically a cheap, this isn't, I didn't expect to do this, but that might be another topic for another video. But knives made with just G10, which is a material that's a combination of wood, resin, and wood, resin, steel, all mixed in together into one material, and then they just color it. That's called G10, and G10 is actually used on a lot of production knives as the backspacer. But you can do all kinds of things with G10, and the material, that material is it's fairly cheap, and you can do a lot of custom things to it. And it's actually my least favorite material, unless, of course, a knife maker is willing to do something to G10 to have it stand out. maybe sculpt it into something. That would be kind of interesting to see. You never know what's going to happen with you know, with custom knives in the future. Someone may decide they want to do that, because the materials that are put on custom knives, like meteorite and dragon steel, I mean, the price of the materials are just going to go up and up and up and up. That's probably what's going to happen in custom knife making in the next few years. A lot of knife makers, to make it cost effective, they will probably rework an old, boring material like G10 and try and create art out of it. That's something else that they're probably going to want to do. Who knows where custom knife making is going to go. Especially with South African knife makers, man. That's a country that is, they don't have all the resources that this country's got. The United States is a very rich country. We don't have economic challenges. We say we have economic challenges, but compared to countries like South Africa, we don't even have anything like that in this country. Where, South Africa basically has to deal with things like load shedding. Can you guys imagine that they shut off your electricity for 3 hours every day to just save money? I mean, and these guys make knives for a living. So can you imagine you're a knife maker making your knife, and then all of a sudden they shut the electricity off, and now you got to wait, and time is money, and you now have to wait for them to turn on for the government to turn on the electricity again so you can continue working. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. And a lot of guys, a lot of knife makers from South Africa have to try and get used to that. Anyway, that's it for me. I've rambled on long enough. Check out Billet to Blade and Ilze du Pleisses on Instagram. This is their knife. This is their artwork. This is what they do, and they are coming on strong, and they're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. If you go on Instagram, you can certainly order a knife from him if you're ready to go do that. Keep in mind, Hennie du Pleisses doesn't just do engraved knives. He does do custom knives with no engraving on them, different materials, and the price point will be a lot lower than what's here on this table. I just went with this because I'm a fanatic. So I really wanted to show this one off to you. This is the latest knife in my South African knife collection. I just did a video on all of my South African knives. I was surprised it got a lot of hits, but I'm not satisfied with the way I did that, so I'll be doing it again a third time. Try and make the camera not shake. Try not to, ramble on as much. Just make it clear, concise, and what my collection is. Anyway, this is Omar, your South African knife guy. Before I close this video, you guys may want to check out a website called theknifeenthusiast.com. Check them out. They are trying to become the #1 resource for custom knives. Any information you're looking for on custom knives should be there. Production knives will be there. You can ask any questions on knives, period. That's the theknifeenthusiast.com. Also, if you're looking to sell knives or buy knives, you can go there. They've got a lot of pre-owned customs, a lot of pre-owned production knives. So if there's a discontinued knife you're looking for, maybe it might be on that channel. More than likely, you'll find it. You'll find my channel, my YouTube channel, there on theknifeenthusiast.com. So this is Omar, your South African knife guy, checking out my latest custom by Hennie and Ilze du Pleisses, the BUNAKAWA Dragon piece. This is Omar, your South African knife guy, closing out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video, in my next custom knife, whatever that will be. Over and out. You guys have a great and fantastic Sunday, and I'll see you next time.